Yo, what's going on, guys? Rygo here from Matt Kite. So today, we're going to move on to another installment of our progressive Unhooked playlist. And today, we're going to cover what might be the easiest and most popular trick in kiteboarding, and that is the heelside back roll. For this Unhooked playlist, this might be the easiest roll you're going to learn in kiteboarding, and it leads to a lot of other fun progressions. A good example of this would be something like a back roll paired with the back 180 is the back to blind. If you take that a step further to a 360, you have the KGB, and if you do a front side rotation with this, you're moving on to your first mobs. So the back roll is often a misunderstood trick, and not because it's overly difficult, but because people often mistake it for a flip, when in truth, it's really more like an off-axis 3. And what's fun about the back roll is there's a ton of different variations and ways that you can do this trick, from when you decide to initiate the spin, how explosively you pop, or if you're gonna do a late spin or an early spin. The way that you look through your shoulder or look back over your head can kind of change the axis of rotation, and you can actually invert the back roll into a flip, depending on how you release and what you do with your head. So just like our Raley video, I'm gonna break this one down into 4 parts, and that's gonna be a trick overview, body position in the air, the variations, and the common mistakes. So this is an exciting one. Let's get to it. Alright guys, remember to click that eye icon in the upper right hand corner and download your free PDF for your phone and check out the full written guide. I'm going to keep this video shorter for sure, so check that out because I go into way more detail covering everything that you need to know about this trick. So, starting with the prerequisites, this is probably one of the first tricks that you can try, and just like our Raley video, really you just have to know how to ride upwind, relaunch your kite, and know how to pop. And if you can do a Raley, that's great, but it's not necessary. For a lot of people, the back roll is almost more comfortable to learn because when you come off the water, you can actually just fall onto your back while you're learning, and for some it's actually less intimidating than the unhooked Raley for their first powered air trick. And on that note, actually the back roll is probably one of the most natural feeling tricks in kiteboarding, and that's because when you scoop the board, you're going with the flow of that release, so it actually pops you right into the roll, and as long as you keep looking over your shoulder, it's a very easy trick to land. And once you get your back rolls dialed, you should start working on our surface pass video, or popping to blind, or wrapped, or even try like a back to revert. And if you already know how to do these things, then you should try your first back to blind, or your first back to wrapped once you get this one unlocked. And something I am pushing on this playlist is all of the advanced tricks are just repetition of the basic tricks and then combining the basics into much bigger moves. And if you spend enough time practicing this basic move, you can move on to more advanced tricks relatively quickly, like the back to blind. So for step 1, the trick overview, you're going to keep the kite at 1 or 11 o'clock and come in with good speed. Ride downwind to unhook, carve back upwind, and lean backwards. Now, as you feel the tension load up for the back roll, sometimes it's a good idea to load up just a little bit longer than the Raley, and you're going to need extra pop and height to throw you into the roll. So right as the tension hits the apex, hold it maybe just a moment longer, and as you release your edge, you're going to want to look over your back shoulder. Now for the release, it might be tempting to release late like we talked about in our Raley video, because by the time you leave the water, you're already partially through your roll, but this is actually bad form unless you're going for a bigger trick like a back to revert or even a back mob. So use a standard scoop here and make sure you get off the water, and then as far as the timing goes, as soon as you release that edge, you're going to look over your back shoulder and initiate the roll. And I guess if you're just learning this trick and it's your first time, it's okay to use a late release and just kind of get comfortable with the roll, but make sure you don't make that a habit. You want to have a good powerful pop when you're moving into these air tricks. And remember, just like loading for any powered air trick, you want to treat your body as a unit. So lean back like you're on the back 2 legs of a chair, keep your chest and your hips facing the sky, keep your toes pointed up and dig those heels, and just release all that energy that you're building through your lines, through your body, and out with that scoop. Now as you come off the water, keep looking over your shoulder and spot your landing, and your body is going to follow the head, so keep the bar close throughout the entire roll. And as you come back around, pull the bar into your lead knee, point the nose of your board towards the kite, and land riding downwind at the kite. And I probably can't emphasize this one enough in this series, but when you're landing, remember, you edge across to the wind, load upwind, land riding downwind. So take the power out of the kite and save yourself a bunch of headaches later. So for step 2, with body positioning in the air, remember, your body is gonna follow your head on this trick. So to initiate the roll, after you release your edge, you just wanna look over your back shoulder and swing your hips. And keep things simple and just go for the basic off-axis 360 I talked about. So as you leave the water, keep your arms bent and the bar close, almost like you never unhooked. Bring your knees into your chest and swing your hips around. And you need to keep your knees tucked for this one or you're gonna get stretched out. Now when it comes to your arms while you're loading, remember to keep them close, and as you release, keep them bent and keep that bar close, almost like you never unhooked. And as you come into the air while you're looking over your shoulder, you're gonna bring your knees into your chest, and you wanna stay compact and tucked for this one. Not too compact or you're gonna spin too fast, but you don't wanna get stretched out either. And if you get stretched out, you're just gonna go flailing through the air. And when it comes to good form, you can always tuck one knee just a little bit more than the other and kind of poke that back leg out and just get into the habit of tweaking things right now. And that's a great way to just spice up the most basic variation of this trick. Now with the back roll, almost as soon as you leave the water, you'll actually be able to spot your landing pretty quickly here. And like I said, the body is gonna follow the head, so keep looking over that shoulder to get through the roll, swing your hips up, and as you come around, you'll spot your landing. And as you feel yourself naturally falling out of this trick, just like every other powered air trick, make sure to bring that control bar down close to your lead hip, or even your knee is like a good cue for this one. Try to bring the bar down to your knee and point the nose of your board downwind, and then just absorb the landing with your whole body. So square your shoulders up over your knees, over your hips, over your ankles, and then just absorb it with your entire body riding downwind at the kite. And that's pretty much it for position in the air. There's a couple of little things that you can do while you're experimenting. So you can bring one knee in a little bit closer and kind of poke the back one out to add a little bit of style. Or you could even experiment with how much you tuck in the air to change the speed of your roll. So generally, the more compact you can get, the faster you spin. And then the more stretched out your body is, the slower you're gonna spin. So while you're learning this one, it's a good idea to probably get as compact as you can, because likely a lot of you, if you're in that beginner stage, are not used to tucking anyway and rotating. So just try to tuck up as much as possible and go for some smaller back rolls, and then progressively work your way up to larger and larger back rolls and get used to controlling that speed with how tucked you are while in the air. So one other note on the body position in the air, it's not a bad idea to take your backhand off the bar. And what happens is while you're rolling, you'll naturally pull in on that front hand and redirect the kite down. It'll pull you forward into the landing, and it'll look way better than landing with two hands on the bar, and it's fairly easy to do. So the variations on the back roll, the single most important and the first one you should experiment with should be your axis of rotation. And the way you can control this is actually how you initiate the roll with your head. So with the standard back roll, you kind of look over your shoulder like this on this plane of motion, and if you want to invert or make it look better, you can throw your head back. So if you do a back roll like this, you're actually going to invert that roll more, and then from there, you can even bring one knee in a bit closer to your chest. So if you throw your head back and bring your front knee in as close as you possibly can, swinging your hips up, you're gonna change the axis of that rotation. So start experimenting here and just try a couple different back rolls and see how explosively you can do it, see how much you can throw your hips into the motion, how close can you get that front knee into your chest, how much can you throw your head back. And it might be a little uncomfortable at first, trying to throw your head back and kind of arc into a roll like this, but it does look really good once you do get comfortable doing it. So aside from experimenting with the axis of rotation on this one fun variation that you can do is try to add some grabs to your back rolls. And when it comes to grabs and unhooked kiteboarding, rather than learning the trick while you're unhooked, you can actually hook back in. So even though this is an unhooked playlist, something you can do is stay hooked in and experiment just doing some basic grabs. And I would say go for backhand grabs so that you leave your front hand on the bar to redirect the kite down. So any of the backhand grabs are going to be a lot easier to learn. And if you can learn them while you're hooked in, they feel surprisingly similar than when you're unhooked. And when you're ready to unhook and try them, the biggest factor that changes is just make sure that you're going fast enough to catch up with the bar in the air. Just make sure that you keep your arms close so that you don't get stretched out, because if you're going for a grab and you get stretched out, game over, you're probably not gonna land it. So something that's kind of fun about learning grabs with kiteboarding is you can learn a lot of them while you're hooked in, and then once you get the muscle memory dialed where you're bringing your knees in the right way, kind of poking your back leg out and tucking the front leg, you can really get comfortable making the grabs and then bring it back. And if you do want to try an unhooked grab with your back roll, just make sure you bring a ton of speed into the trick and catch up to the bar. So most important here is not letting the bar get away from you on this one. So stay hooked in, learn a few grabs, and then bring it back to the back roll, and it's actually a lot easier than you think. Moving on to the common mistakes, for the back roll, it's pretty much all the same mistakes that you would see from our Raley video. So people tend to get intimidated by that bar pressure loading up in the kite. You'll see people loading with stretched out arms. You'll see them bend at the hips like a hinge, or they might come off of their edge a little bit with a softer edge. And the best thing you can do for yourself is just learn how to treat your body as a unit. So really dig on a hard edge, chest and hips towards the sky, and lean back for a good solid scoop on this one. And while technically it's not a huge mistake here, the late release is a really common habit that you'll see with first time people doing their back roll. So usually the two most common things that I see is they'll point their toes to soften up their edge, and then they release late because it's very comfortable feeling and you almost don't get off the water. And I think I even have a few clips of this when I was filming this. And while it's technically not a huge mistake, one of the most common things that I see is people doing the late release because they're starting to roll before they leave the water. So make sure you do a good solid pop and scoop, get in the air, and then initiate your roll. And like I said, while you're learning, it's okay to kind of roll right out of the scoop into this one, but your back's gonna be really close to the water. It's not gonna look that good, and honestly, it doesn't feel that good. So if you can get a good explosive pop first, and then powerfully initiate that back roll, it's gonna look way better, and then you can experiment with some other variations. So make sure you're doing a good, solid, standard load and pop on this one, and don't go for a late release on the back roll. And one thing that I almost forgot to add to this video is it's really easy for people to pull on their back hand while they're throwing the roll because it's very natural. And you want to counter that by pulling on your front hand. So remember, you don't want to send the kite to noon on this. You want the kite to pull you forward, not up. So if you're doing your back roll and you find that you're swinging underneath the kite and dropping on your back, chances are you're sending the kite back up to noon. So make sure you keep your hands close to the center of the bar and then pull on the front hand to redirect the kite forward while you're doing the roll. And that's pretty much it for this week. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Instagram and let me know where you're at on this trick. And don't forget to download your free PDF. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, this has been Raley.